everybody, what's going on? Welcome to part two of the second episode of the FPF First and Goal podcast. I'm Brent, joined as always by my co-host Quaysie. So last time we left you guys, we hadn't done co-ed one or two, so we're gonna hop to that ASAP, and as well as same thing with 5v5, but we'll get to 5v5 shortly. So let's jump right in. Co-ed's been called COVID. Co-ed 2. So looking at the standings right now in co-ed 2, we have Tonics sitting at 4-0, Michael Scott's Tots 4-1. Another undefeated team, Daycare at 3-0, Team Rocket 2-0. There's a glut of teams right now with only one loss. There's a couple with two. And looking at the bottom of the standings, only two teams that are winless after the first couple weeks of the season. That's Ghostbusters at 0-3 and the Westies at 0-5. So hopefully those teams will kind of pick up the slack. A ton of teams with one win. There's one, two, three, four, five, six. Yeah, six teams with one win and a bunch sitting there with two. So again, 22 teams in this division. 16 make the playoffs right now. If the playoffs started today, the last team in would be no pads, no helmets, just balls. I love that name. That's awesome. Yeah, so things are fluid right now. Again, as I said at the top, Tonic sits atop the division with a 4-0 record. They actually tied with Michael Scott's Tots, who are 4-1. So both teams have 8 points. And I said there's a bunch of teams with 6 points, a bunch of teams with five, four, so on and so forth. Quaysie, what are your thoughts about Co-Ed 2 so far?
It's interesting. I said it a lot, but yeah, it's interesting. I'm still kind of surprised. Oh, I'm not that surprised actually that there's two teams that haven't had a one game yet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like it seems like in every division there's always that one or two teams that are missing that one win to start getting things rolling. Again, Tonics. I was saying that Tonics is basically a downgrade for their co-ed one team that is called. One second, let me guys properly for. It's like a downgrade of their fit squad. So pretty much they
Right,
kind of
right, right, right.
some athletes here and there. So the fact that they're 4-0, I mean, I'm not surprised about that being 4-0 in co-ed too, especially for the roster that they do have. What does surprise me is Michael Scott Tots. They're 4-1. They have one bad loss versus the Venom where they lost by like 30 points. So that was like pretty much the only game that they lost by like a big margin. The rest of the games they've been winning pretty well. I believe they last season. I think I saw them in co-ed 3 last year. So the fact that they made a jump into co-ed 2 and they're winning games and they have a positive record that they have, it's pretty good. Their points for points against is not the best. They're allowing a lot of points. They're 141. I think they're probably the highest team, even though they have 5 games played. I believe that they're the highest team so far with points allowed, other than Purple Blood, which is they're 1-4, which also game, and also the Wrestlers too. But they're 0-5, I think. Yeah. So other than those two teams, they allow the most points against. But other than that, like I mean, it's they're doing a pretty good job. Uh, and yeah,
Yeah, I'm looking at so Michael Scott's toss. I got a couple of buddies in my team, basically kind of the two captains, Zachary Elbers Gill and Kenny Batoulier. Had a chance to toss the ball around a bit. Practice with these guys during the fall season as they were getting ready for the fall season and this season as well. You talked about right, only one bad loss against Venom all the way back in week two, but besides that, I mean, their offense has been humming. They scored 40 points last Sunday against Kamikaze, 34 against the Chief Bandits. Before that, right, 29 against Flag Force One. It's kind of an interesting name, Flag Force One. Okay. They got the Crazy Frogs, so they have a bit of a bye right now, right? So they're off until February 24th, right? So they take on Crazy Frogs and Shatagee. So let's see if they can kind of keep their 3 game win streak right now going. Well, they won again 3 in a row and four out of their first five. Pardon me. So again, they have Crazy Frogs coming up. Speaking to your point about Tonics, as you mentioned, like as a kind of a makeshift fit squad. They have David Michaud as a quarterback, so he's been solid so far. They have Maule as well. I think she's actually the better quarterback of the two. So they have two players who are capable of throwing the ball. Jumping over to Daycare right now. So Daycare they played 3 games. They've scored 105 points so far, which is pretty good. Looking at the roster, we talked about them briefly last week. So they got like Alexi Gaumont, Catherine Gomo. So obviously the Gomo family's up in there in full effect. They have a lot of playmakers on both sides of the ball. So again, they're sitting at 3-0. They beat Ball Hard University. They knocked off no pads, no helmets, just balls. And a close one 2 Saturdays ago against Red Zone. They knocked them off 41-40. So up next for these guys for daycare is Block Party coming up. That's going to be this coming Monday. So that's going to be a big test, I think, for daycare taking on a Block Party squad right now. Just looking at it. Block Party, I believe their record is. I'm just trying to get it up on my screen here. Um,
Block Party's 2-1.
yeah, yeah, okay, there you go. Right, so there's definitely not a doormat of a team. So expect Block Party, and Block Party is actually coming off a big win against Flag Force One this past Wednesday at Laval. I had a chance to watch a bit of that game. Actually, it was on the field right next to where I was scorekeeping. So a big win for Block Party. So let's see if they can make it two in a row when they take on daycare this Monday. That's going to be at Stade Bear. So a lot of big games. So week 5 for this division is officially over. It finished this past Wednesday, but looking at the schedule, so it's a bit of a light schedule week 6, right? So week 6 is only 3 games. I talked about Block Party and Daycare this coming Monday. Also Monday at Stade Bear is going to be Team Rocket against Crazy Frogs, and Sunday in Chateauguay. So one of the few teams that's going to be playing Super Bowl Sunday. We'll get to that after. Obviously, is who's going to carry the boats against the Ghostbusters. So that again, that'll be Chateauguay. Be a 4 o'clock start for that one. So again, only 3 games for Co-ed 2 this coming week, but it's kind of in terms of it's not quantity, it's more quality, I guess you could say.
Yeah, exactly. Also, something to see too. I just want to say, Block Party is also a team that I believe they were in Co-ed 3, so they also made the jump.
Yep. Yep.
Red Zone, I just actually looked at their roster because something I didn't do, but they're actually like so in Co-ed 1, which we're gonna talk about right after this, their quarterback, Mark Andre the Reeves,
Yeah,
he's
Mark
the
Andre Reeves. Yeah.
yeah, he's the quarterback for Red Zone,
Yeah.
and a stat that they kind of just looked at point like I kind of just realized he's thrown 23 touchdowns and 0 interceptions.
Yeah, no, he's legit. Listen, Mark Andre Reeves. I think we talked about it the first week. He's a quarterback that's slowly kind of making his climb up the ranks in terms of top quarterbacks in all of FPF, not just in the division that he plays in. He's in co-ed 1 with the merge, I believe, as well, right? So he's making some
Yeah,
noise there.
so
He kind of burst on the scene. Yeah, yeah. So he's a
he's
star
doing
player. Kind of.
that dual thing, kind of like how Tonics is doing as Fit Squad.
Yeah,
They have kind of like the similar roster,
yeah,
a bit of a
exactly.
downgrade when it comes to athletes, but they still have him as quarterback. So that's also something to look at. Yeah, they're two and
Yeah.
two right now, but they have a quarterback that has thrown 0 ints, and you can score points for them. So that's something to kind of to point
Yeah, but
out.
that's it. That's it. That's exactly it. I mean, so yeah, looking at the receivers right now in that loss to daycare for Red Zone. I mean, there's a lot of names. There's no like blockbuster names. Not to throw any shade on any of the players, but there's no like, okay, this team has I don't know, has Rochelle. This team has Isaiah Lard. This team has Mike Pearson. This team has you, Quaysie. This team has like whoever, right? JD Chevalier, for example.
Yeah,
There's no one that really stands out on this team, but it's kind of a collective where again they lost in overtime, right? So I mean, it's not as if they got blown out. Talking about Red Zone again in their loss to daycare, but this is definitely like you said, it's a talented team, and it's going to be a team to be reckoned with as we go forward down the stretch. They have a big game coming up against Kamikaze, so they're off this week. But February 17th in Chateauguay, Red Zone's taking on Kamikaze, so I'll be interested to see what happens with that. And Red Zone takes on Michael Scott's Tots March 5th, so that's going to be a big game that can potentially
yeah,
be for first place in co-ed too.
it's gonna be very interesting. All right, let's hop on to Co-ed 1.
Okay. Yeah, so looking at it right here, co-ed 1. Again, I like this division a lot. I'm not sure if I said this last week, but again, you just look at some of the quarterbacks, right? As you know, from playing, right? Like Maule, Jeff Rosenblatt, obviously Mark Andre Reed, Kevin Wives in that division, Jeremy White, Chris Rive. This division is not lacking for stars, and even some of the females you talk about in this division, right? There are a lot of playmakers and a lot of really great female football players as well in this division. So it's going to come down to the wire. Looking at it right now, the merge who we talked about, right, led by Mark Andre Reeves, they're 4-0. The IG team, obviously John Lee, Alexi, and the rest of the Alexi clan, they're 3-0. So those are the two undefeated teams right now. We have Plenty of Fish, Molakasa's crew. They're 3-1. Who's Mizzou's 3-1. Pass Whooping 2-1. Banner Night Stride, right, led by Jeff. They're 2-2. Domino's a little surprising. They're 1-2, as are the Monarchs and Kiss My In Zone. You have Easy Fun at 1-3, and the last two teams, Party Mix 0-3. We talked about them last week, and Fit Squad 0-4. You talked about Fit Squad, right? A team making a jump from Co-Ed 3 and Co-Ed 2. They're struggling right now, especially offensively. Through 4 games, they've only scored 45 points, right? So that's one of the big reasons why they're 0-4 so far this season.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think you made a mistake there. Party Mixes has scored 45 and Fitzcott has scored 74. So I think you just kind of mixed those
Yeah.
numbers.
Well, no. So Fit Squad has scored 74, like I said, but that's through
Okay,
four
sorry.
games, right? Where Party
Yeah.
Mix has scored 45, but Party Mix has only played three.
Okay,
So it's a
sorry.
little bit, yeah, no
I
worries.
heard that wrong then. Yeah. So yeah, they're
No worries.
averaging only 15 points a game for Party Mix,
Yeah.
which is not the best, but I mean, again, I think they kind of I think we talked about it again that their male athletes are not they don't have any huge names for
Right.
their male athletes, but they're as their females they do have they have a lot of good athletes there. So I think that's what they're kind of missing. They kind of need their the guys to kind of pick up a bit of the slack that's missing on their side.
Right.
Um,
And
something that's sorry, go ahead,
no,
go.
go.
No, go ahead. It's all you.
I was gonna say, so like, in terms of, so okay, so you mentioned that about Fit Squad, right? So this, again, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but pardon me, you talked about Party Mix, I should say. Going back to Fit Squad for a second, right? We looked at it again. They're averaging 19 points a game. They've scored 74 through 4 games. But again, this is a veteran team. There's talent, both female and male, on this team. Uh, it's like Tamara Boulanger, I want to say, I would argue, is probably their best female player. Again, no shade to players like Celestine Chartier. I mean, everyone knows her. And FPF, Alexi Galarno as well, right? What do you think they need to do to kind of get back, to kind of find their group? 'Cause again, we talked about they're a team that's coming out from a lower division, but they're always one of those teams who was always either making the finals or in the semifinals in Co-Ed 3, I believe in Co-Ed 2 as well. So they're a team that many players or many people think should be in Co-Ed 1 as they are right now, but they're struggling. Where do you think they need to improve?
Right now, so just going down to their schedule, they lost 25 to 12, 12 to 37, 28 to 24, and 46 to 20, 46 to 26.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like in between of points being scored, and then they are
It's
allowing
4 o'clock.
they're allowing about 20. They're allowing about 30 points per game. So one thing they're gonna have to do is they're gonna have to step it up on defense, and they're gonna kind of have to realize that because this division is so hard and there's so many athletes all around on every single team, they're gonna have to not have mistakes. So in situations where if if for some reason if their defense is able to get interception and it hits off one of their players' hands and it becomes a PD and not interception. So stuff like that, they're gonna have to capitalize, and they're gonna have to get those interceptions. They're gonna have to get those sacks. They're not gonna be able to afford to miss all those tackles. They're just gonna have to play really perfect fit squad football. For I think for them to kind of uh, put up a step
Okay. Okay.
for uh, for that. Also, I'm looking at their stats. The quarterback's thrown William Bullard. He's thrown 7 INTs in 4 games, so he's averaging about 1.8 INTs a game. So let's just say about two.
Right.
He's gonna have to bring that down to at least one a game. Because throwing 2 interceptions a game, you can't win any games when you throw 2 interceptions. Basically you get to miss out on 2 offensive drives, and right there that's already 12 points, right? So easy fun, they lost, and then you give the opposite team their 2 possessions. Not saying they're going to score, but at that there's still a chance that they're all going to score. So they lost the easy fun by 13. They threw 2 interceptions. That's 2 touchdowns that they don't get. That's 2 touchdowns the other team could get. So right there, it's kind of like a switch, like instead of losing 25 to 12, it could have been 19 to 18. It could have been a one possession game instead of being a 2 possession game. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Looking at your squad for second, Dominoes. I know we talked about you guys briefly last week. Again, you're coming off a big win against pass whooping Chris Rive's squad, I believe, 46-37. So you guys had a couple weeks off now. You're back in action Monday against the Monarchs. Uh, so looking at your record, you guys are now 1-2. And looking quickly at the Monarchs, just waiting for it to pop up on my screen to get their record.
they're 1-2 as
Anyways,
well.
Okay, so they're 1 and 2. So the battle of the 1 and 2s, Monday night in Saudi Bear. What do you guys have to do to get the W, and what kind of team are you expecting in Monarchs?
Um, well, for my squad, I just think we need to just get our communication a bit better, and also Kevin Wyeth on the timing routes for the females, because for him this is his first year playing co-ed one,
Yep.
so timing is not going to be the best. Also, the way sometimes he slings it in there, not every you can't expect every ball to be caught. It's a different ball too for the females. They play with a smaller ball, so for them to kind of adapt and catch a pass from Kevin Wyeth is something, but catching a it's a bigger ball as well too. I'm not
Yeah.
saying
Yeah.
it's different. It's different, right? It's you're kind of changing the game
For
in
sure.
that sense. So I think we just have to start as we again. We played 3 games. We played back-to-back games the week one, and then we played then we played an air game the week after. So we kind of played 3 games in 2 weeks. So it's kind of a lot. And then we went on a pretty big break now. I think it's been like 3 weeks since we played.
Yeah.
It's gonna be 3 weeks since we played our next game. So we just kind of have to get used to. Everyone has to kind of get against each other, get used to each other. Kevin has to kind of get familiar with the receiver, the route running, and kind of understand like it's going to take them a bit more time, especially the females on our team. The females on our team, it's going to take them a bit more time to get into that zone before you can actually throw the ball. Because Kevin's a guy that he's a timing route guy, so he kind of throws the ball when he expects you to be there, right?
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
he's who he is, you know.
Mhm.
So he kind of has to get on the same cue and the same timing wise as our all our receivers. Because we do also have he's never played with me. He's never played with AJ Gomez. He's played with Jamal Noel, but that's like the thing. We have a new snapper named Josh too. So and then Rochelle, Emma, Gigi,
Yeah.
Lara. There's it's like a whole new roster for him, right? So it's all
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
timing and chemistry, and we just have to kind of get that down, and when we get that, we'll be fine. And then for the Marnox, I actually watched them play. I watched them play in Brossard when they played, I believe, the Merge. It was Tam's team, or maybe no, it was Tam's team. No, Tam's team is Hosh, Mazzles.
Oh, yeah. The Hushmanzulus. Hushmanzulus.
Yeah, yeah. So that's Tam's team. I actually watched them both play together. They're a pretty solid team.
Yeah.
They have some pretty good athletes, female and male. So they just kind of, I think a lot of it is kind of just chemistry going for everybody, especially for defense. That's why a lot of teams are letting a lot of points scored. I think
Yeah.
everyone has to kind of realize, like, get a feeling. Okay, you could play deep. Okay, you can't play as deep. Okay, you could do this better than this. I think everyone's kind of getting their footing in before as the schedule progresses. Like I feel like a lot of teams are just kind of getting used to each other, even though some teams have played with each other more than others. I still think that's something that's really new, especially when the seasons are starting, because it's week 3. Most teams only played 3 games, 4 games, you know. So I feel like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
has a big effect for a lot of teams.
So speaking of offense right now, I'm looking at it. So we talked about the Hushmanzulus, right? I mean, they've scored 41, 32, 52, and 60. So they dropped the 60 burger this past Saturday on the Monarchs. So shootouts, they won 60 to 41. So I mean, defense you may want to tighten up a bit, but I mean their offense is definitely carrying the load for them so far. Just looking at it right here, so the points I'm just adding them up right now. They've scored a total of 185 points in I believe 4 games. So quick math here, they're averaging just more than 46 points a game. So they're obviously
Yeah,
doing something right on
yeah,
offense.
yeah.
Um,
They could score.
yeah,
They're a high powering offense. They have tons of athletes all around. If you miss a tackle on some of their guys, they're going to score. Same thing for their females. Tam's a great quarterback. He's been in this league for I don't know how long, but it's been a while. He's been playing. I know he's been playing co-ed for quite a while too.
yeah,
With his Flimmer team, I think they were called Power Rangers, where he won. I think he had
yep,
a. I think he's the one that kind of started co-ed and winning all those championships with the Power Rangers. So he knows what he's doing. He's very comfortable playing with females. He's very comfortable on signing them on certain routes. He's also a coach too at Lennox Edward MLC.
yep,
So he kind of understands what to do. I think he also plays with two of the females on his team. Also plays on this team, on his co team. So that's also a bit of chemistry. He kind of knows where to put them and how they run and like who could catch what, who could route, who's able to do certain routes. So I think that's also an
right.
advantage. That's the reason why they scored so many points, right? They scored 185, and it's not like they scored it only on one team. They've been scoring. a lot of points. A lot of teams. I actually score kept their game, and he had. You said it was 60, right? 60
Yeah,
to
six,
yeah,
60 to 41.
yeah. He had 50 in the first half. They just
Wow.
he had 50 in the first half. I'm pretty sure it was 50. Yeah, because he told me he looked at me after he scored last week. He's like, "Oh, it's a 50 bird or something like that." I was like, "Yeah," and then it kind of just it died down a bit. Like they were in the 2 minute mark, the 2 minute stop clockage. I think there was eight
Right,
touchdowns.
right. So I'm
So
looking at it right here. That they were up 51-35, which isn't so bad. I mean, the Monarchs held their own, but it seems like both
yeah,
teams kind of took their foot off the gas. Who's Mizzou scoring only 9 in the second half? The Monarchs scoring 6. Yeah, Tam had 9 TD passes, so that's
yeah,
pretty
exactly.
impressive.
No, it was pretty much kind of like okay, like Talmud would kind of like a level one side and kind of put someone over the top, and like
Right,
one team would kind of compromise on one side, and the girl would one of his I don't remember exactly who, but one of his players were wide open touchdown, and then would
right,
kind of go
right.
back forth, and they just kept going back and forth scoring, and then but Tam's team they got more stops than the other team.
Right. I'm looking at it right now. So Tam went 17-24 for 317 yards. So he had 7 incompletions, 9 touchdown passes. So always saying, if you have more TDs and incompletions, you're doing something right. Maxime Giroux, Marina Scalzo, Chrétien, yeah, Gabe Charles, Dab Champagne, everyone knows him, and Effie Patron. So Effie had 3 touchdown passes. Gabe had 2. Marina had 2. Maxime had 2. So yeah, the offense was definitely humming
Yeah.
against the Monarchs. So looking again, so this is another division where it's a light schedule. Pardon me. This week, it's yeah, we have the so on Monday it's Steady Bear pass whooping against Plenty of Fish. So that's gonna be a big game in terms of the standings. And then
Hmm.
Wednesday also at Steady Bear Easy Fun against Party Mix. We talked about Party Mix obviously looking for the first W of the season. So I'm gonna wish those guys and ladies good luck as they try to get that. Easy Fun as well. Easy Fun right now looking at the standings. So they're 1-3, right? So this is a big matchup. Easy Fun 10th in the standings at 1-3. Party Mix 11th at 0-3. So this is a big W for both teams. If Easy Fun can get the W, they ideally would propel themselves into a playoff spot. They might be able to leapfrog the Monarchs or Dominoes. And Party Mix, as we said again, they're over for the season, so they have a chance to get off the schneid, if you will. Again with Easy Fun, so I said they'd have it. So the Monarchs and Dominoes game is going to be huge, right?
Yeah.
Part of it, but it's going to
Exactly.
be huge because the loser of that game could get left over by Easy Fun if Easy Fun is able to knock off Party Mix this Wednesday in Steady Bears. So a lot of big games coming up. It's only 3 of them, but they all
Yeah.
matter in terms of
So,
the
so,
standings.
so one thing is very interesting because there's 12 teams right in this division,
Yeah,
and out of the 12, four don't make it. So it comes to a point where it's going to be very tight coming down to the end of the season.
yeah,
Because as you see, Monarchs, us, Kiss My End Zone, Easy Fun, we all only have one win, and then you have Party
yeah,
Mix and Fit Squad, where at one point they're probably going to play each other, so they it's possible for them to get that win, you know. So it's gonna be very weird. Hopefully my team ends up making a big push and we're not even in that situation where we have to worry about not making playoffs or not. But it's gonna be very weird if you see like a team like Kiss My End Zone not making the playoffs for
yeah.
or a team like Easy Fun not making the playoffs, or like Party Mix or even Fit Squad. I feel like a lot of these teams are gonna be very confused when it comes down to like week 7, week 8, and they're 2-6, and they're literally at the bottom having
Exactly.
to win their next game, but they're playing versus a powerhouse IG team where it's not you don't get that easy win. It's gonna be a win where you're gonna have to like really like you're gonna have to really like force the win, and really you're gonna have to play perfect football. So I find it's gonna be very when it comes down to the week 14, because we have 14 weeks in the season. So when it
Mhm.
comes down to week 14 or week 13, and when you start seeing like when the when there's more games played, and you start seeing the teams that are 7-2 and whatever. We have our 6-4 teams, whatever, and their seasons are done. But then you have the bottom teams that are 3-5 or 2-6, and they're literally outside looking in. You know, it's gonna be very entertaining to
Standing, yeah,
see
yeah.
when it comes down to that point, because I know, as I said before, I think this is by far the most competitive the most competitive how Code One has been. It's always like, to be honest with you, I don't. I think this is also the most teams Code One has seen. I believe usually it's like maybe 7 or 8 teams, but the fact you have 12 teams and you have 12 powerhouse teams, you have teams that have athletes all around and just pure everyone a bunch of teams that just want to compete. Just to be able to see this now, it's kind of it's I like it. Like it's something that I'm happy I'm part of playing Code One this season.
Oh no, for sure, for sure. And you look at it, right? So speaking to the first point you made, right? In terms of the schedule, so I'm gonna fill this out you right here. So I'm looking at it. You have Party Mix and Fit Squad. They take on each other February 23rd. So in 2 weeks from now, Party Mix and Fit Squad go at it. Then you have Kiss My End Zones the week after that. So it'll be March 3rd. Kiss My End Zones against Dominoes. So again, those are some big matchups. And then week 10 all the way down on March 9th, you have Fit Squad taking on Kiss My End Zone. So all these games matter, and I really think, like, as you talked about, right? Is week 14 is the final week of the regular season. I think the playoff seedings or who's gonna be in, who's gonna be out. I think it's gonna go all the way down to week 14, just based
Yeah.
off of the glut of teams we have right now in terms of the standings and how far or how close they are to each other.
Yeah, me too. It's gonna be very. I'm excited to be honest. I love when teams are even for some reason my team's in that situation. That's something that I love to see. You know, when you it's like the playoffs haven't started yet, but you're going to week 10 and you're in a playoff match. You're in a playoff game. You know.
Exactly, and you know what? Looking at last year's co-ed one, 8 teams. It was
Yeah.
only 8 teams last year, right? We're already up to 12. So I mean that's pretty good, and it's making for a more competitive and more fun co-ed one.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's jump
Yes.
to men's.
Yeah, 5v5.
Yeah.
So let's start with the recreational.
Yes.
All right, so let's hop over to the recreational division here. Again, this division, for what it looks like, is only going to be happening in the winter, unless we get some more teams come the spring season. We'll have to wait and see for that. Yeah, so 6 teams right now. Top of the standings, there's a tie. Green Monsters 4-1, Mercenaries 4-1. Then you had both 8 points each. You have the Trap Stars sitting at 2-0. So Trap Stars 5, pardon me. So the Trap Star 5s are the only undefeated team, but they've only played 2 games, so they're 2-0. First Down Sniffers 3, pardon me, they're 2-1. And then 0-5, 0, and 0-4 Pass Holes. We talked last week about those, so those are the two teams kind of bringing up the rear there in the recreational division. Green Monsters right now, like I said, they're tied with Mercenaries, both sitting with a 4-1 record. Green Monsters coming off of a 21-12 win this past Sunday against Zero. So again, Zero still in the loss column. So it's actually back-to-back wins over Zero. So they beat them on January 25th, 25-6, and they beat them, as I said, 21-12. So a bit better showing by Zero. Instead of one touchdown, they got two. But again, they're still looking for the first W. We have Trapstar 5 and Green Monsters. They'll be going at it not this coming Monday, but the Monday after, February 17th. I should be scorekeeping that game. That'll be in Saint Laurent. So that'll be a big test for Green Monsters coming up. The only loss Green Monsters have right now is against Mercenaries. Actually, in week 2, they lost 26-19. So looking at Mercenaries again, they knocked out Green Monsters. So they actually should have the tiebreaker. I'm not sure why they're listed as being in second here in the standings, unless they played each other another time. Oh yeah, they did. Okay, so my bad. They played each other twice already. So Mercenaries getting the win in week 2, and then Green Monsters getting the win in week 3. Mercenaries, they're coming off of a win against Pass Holes 2 weeks ago, 27-19. Up next this Monday, Mercenaries are in action in Saint Laurent. They're taking on First Down Sniffers, so that'll be a 10 p.m. Kickoff for that one. So let's see if Mercenaries can maintain their tie or maybe jump out to their first place lead. And for First Down Sniffers, again, they're sitting at 2-1. So a win for First Down Sniffers over the Mercenaries would get them to 2 points back or one game behind Mercenaries for top spot, and the Green Monsters obviously in 5v5 recreational.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts so far about the division?
It's good. It's still nice to see teams starting to play the 5v5. As I said, it's something that's gonna start being very common.
Hmm.
It's kind of like we're the type, as we said before, we're basically the only league right now that plays 6v6 outside of, like, other than, well, inside Canada. I think it's us, and I think Ontario does a 6v6 too.
Yeah, yeah.
to a point, but most of if you go anywhere else, it's all 5v5 football. So the fact that we're kind of getting some teams in, even though we're only six, it's still kind of nice to show the format of 5v5 because it's a completely different game. As you said, we have some new teams too. Zaro is a new team. They're
Yeah.
pretty much the whole. They have maybe they have like two or three guys that played in the league before, but other than that, it's a pretty new roster. And then Paschal's actually they've been in the league before. They played last season. I don't think they had a positive record, but it's like their second season playing in 5v5. So shout out to them. Um,
Yeah,
Also,
I know those
mercenaries.
guys.
One, sorry.
So no, yeah, I know. Paso is led by Jared Buck, a FPF veteran.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
So they played last season. So shout out to them.
Yeah.
You know, it's as I said, I like the 5v5 format. So when I see new teams in it and then playing it, I enjoy it because I feel like at one point we're gonna be playing 5v5 and not 6v6. But that's in the future. Something also to look at mercenaries. They actually play like a co-ed type of team because they usually have they play about like I'm not sure if they play three female, three males, they play with females on their team too, so that's something to kind of look at. So their females are actually kind of aware of the 5v5 format because women's is 5v5, so for them it's kind of nothing new for them, right? So that's also
Yeah.
nice to see. Uh, and then Trap Stars, Trap Stars being 2-0 this season right now, as you said before, they only played two games so far, but 2-0 is pretty good. They've allowed 12 points on offense. Sorry, they've allowed 12 points against. So that means they're only allowing 6 points per game. They have a huge matchup versus Green Monster, so we're gonna kind of see how that game goes. Trap Stars versus Green Monster because that's gonna kind of I think my money on are there Trap Stars Mercenaries or Green Monster to win this division. So it's going to be very interesting to see Green Monsters play Trap Stars because I've technically I've never seen any. Well, I've seen a few players from Green Monsters, and I've seen pretty much the whole roster from Trap Stars. They're usually a team that plays 4A or 4B type of division that they're usually in. So the fact that they're in 5v5 now, it's gonna be interesting to see them play against each other, just to see kind of who's the better team and who's going to be leading the pack at when it comes to week 10.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking at it right here. I've seen Trapstar Fives play. I mean, obviously, it's the Cooper Young, Dylan Garber, all those guys always play together, Trap Stars, and trying to think if they have another name for one of the other teams. But yeah, they've been playing together for a bunch of years. Will Seaback's a guy that's played with them recently, the last couple of seasons. Yeah, so they're a team obviously looking to kind of climb the standings again. Like I said, they're 2-0. Just trying to look at yeah they beat so they beat a big they beat Passos 42-0, and then they beat First Down Sniffers 31-12. Like you talked about, they're playing Green Monster next Monday, so that's going to be a huge game.
Mm-hmm.
So they actually played Green Monsters two out of the next three contests, right? So they also have them Saturday, March 1st in Laval. So that's going to be a big game for them. That's going to be sandwiched in between a game with Zero. Just going back to the Mercenaries for a second. So that's the team. My buddy Gino DeFazio, obviously FPF Hall of Famer, has been in the league for a million years. I don't. I talked to him 2 weeks ago. I don't know if he's officially retired, but now he's listed on the roster as having 4 games played. The quarterback is his daughter Maya.
Mm-hmm.
She's super awesome. So there, we said the Mercenaries have 4-1 right now, and so this is any Gino. If I don't know how well you know Gino, but I'll tell you if you don't, any Gino team, it's like a novel in terms of how many players are on the team. So I counted 20 people that have played at least one game. Gino is one of them, so technically it's really 19 because Gino hasn't actually played for them, but he's just there off the game, so he gets credit for being there. So it's 19 players have played for Mercenaries at one point or another this season. He's always on the field coaching these guys up, coaching the ladies up as well. It's gonna be interesting to see what they can do. I know they used to be yin and yang, so Gino and his team, especially his daughter, they do have championship experience. So it's gonna be interesting to see what kind of roster they have going forward as we march towards the playoffs. Because again, every player needs at least 5 games played to qualify for the dance. But it's gonna be interesting to see who those 5 players. Well, at least 5 players will be that can qualify in 5v5 for the playoffs.
Well, he's one game away, right? If any,
Yeah, well, that's it.
any,
That's it.
any case, he's one game
Yeah,
away.
and he's not afraid. He's not afraid to put on the cleats and play if his team needs it. So it'll be interesting to see if that's going to be the case for his squad. So just looking at it here with the mercenaries. Yes, again, pretty tight offense. I believe are they first in scoring right now in this division?
Yeah,
Just looking at it here.
136.
Yeah. So yeah, they're first in scoring. They're first in
Yeah,
scoring. So
136.
yeah. So I'm gonna be looking forward to those upcoming games against Green Monsters. So just looking at it
Yeah,
here.
it's gonna be curious. I'm running to well, Green Monster. Yeah, exactly. So they're Green Monsters and Mercenary played, right. So they kind of shared they got their
Yeah, the
1-1
first
each.
place.
So I'm
Yeah,
just curious to see how Trap Stars is gonna how Trap Stars are gonna go against Green Monsters and Mercenary, because I feel like it's gonna be
yeah,
those top three teams that are gonna be the ones fighting for the championship at the end of the day.
yeah, definitely. And all 6 teams make the playoffs. It's just a matter of who's going to be playing who. Looking at the player
Yeah.
breakdown, I don't think there's going to be any buys. Yeah, so yeah, the top two seeds get a buy. So it'll be 3 versus 6 and 4 versus 5 in the quarters, and then obviously the lowest seed will play the number 1 seed, and the second lowest seed will play the number 2 seed. So it's going to be a lot of jockeying for playoff positioning as we go down the stretch here for the recreational division.
Hmm.
Let's hop over to the next 5v5 division right here.
Yep.
So looking at it right here, for sorry, my apologies, my computer is acting a little slow right now. So I believe it's recreational for no intermediate.
Yeah, exactly. I have it
Yeah,
opened up.
yeah. So the intermediate division right here. My apologies, waiting for my computer to catch up here. So the dangers of using a really old laptop. Sometimes it works great, other times not so much, and this happens to be one of those times. Yeah, okay. So intermediate division right here. Um, so looking at the top of the standings, yeah, we have Blue Dry 7.1 with a that's a horrible beer by the way. Well, Blue Dry in general. I'm not a Blue Dry guy. I don't know if you drink beer, but I'm not a Blue Dry guy at all. I think
No,
Blue Dry is
neither.
hot
No. Well,
garbage.
that's
So
Quebec, right? It's a Quebec
yeah,
beer, I
yeah,
think.
yeah. I think that's good. So I think it's made by Labatt, which is kind of a Canadian slash
Mm.
Quebec.
Yeah, I feel like when you get it, it says Quebec like on the logo. Maybe it's. I
Right,
feel like
right.
that's something that's.
I think you're right. Anyways, that's their beer. That's their beer. Or maybe they have a sponsor in Blue Dry. God knows. I'm just saying, if you have the choice of beer, that should be your first. But to each your own. Uh,
Remember,
what was that, Ali? Sorry. Exactly. There you go. Good man, Ali. Good man. Exactly.
remember it's Blue Dry 7.1, right? So
Yeah. 7.1, 5.1, 2.0. Yeah, hot garbage. Anyways, whatever. So getting off beer. So look at the standings again. The flag football team's looking good. 3-0 record. They're tied for first with Primal, who's also sitting at 3-0. You have X-Men at 2-1. Quebec, the under 16 team A is at 2-1. Five Guys are 1-2. The Quebec under 16 team B is 0-2. CTE is 0-2, and Gamblers Anonymous are 0-3. So CTE, so I remember looking at that last week. I didn't mention anything, but I'm like, I mean, obviously with we've both played tackle football before, so obviously it's not something to joke about. I'm not sure if that's the history of their name. I mean, maybe they're just trying to raise awareness for CTE, which is a good thing as well. There's definitely
yeah,
something
but
that's
have
serious.
have you seen the CTA team?
Yeah, so yeah, Rafi's on that team. Anthony Lazera. Okay, yeah, okay. So they're all guys that play tackle before,
Yeah,
so it makes sense. Nico Pini. Okay, so it's fine. It's fine. Again, hopefully they're hopefully none of them have any post concussion syndrome or experiencing early signs of CTE because that's definitely something you don't want to mess with.
no.
Yeah. So tight loss over Primo. So the first place team, and then tight loss to actually the five guys. So CTE, hopefully they get their not just their head straight, but they're out together on the football field. Again, two tight games, so it's literally a play here, a play there that cost them. So they have Quebec U16A coming up next Sunday, so February 16th at the Stinger Dome, 7 p.m. one for that one. So my whole point of bringing that up, CTE is again, they're 0-2 right now. What do you think they need to do? Again, a veteran squad, a lot of big name players from FPF on their squad. What do you think they need to do to kind of get out of the hole and get their first W of the season?
I think they just need to play it versus a opponent that's not going to give them that many problems. So as you said, they play Primal. Primal is a very veteran team. They have a bunch of guys that they've played in this division before, so it's something that they're used to. I believe they played last season, or this. Yeah, pretty sure they played last season, and then they played Five Guys. I believe Five Guys also played last season too. Yeah, Five Guys played last season. They actually lost in the semis last season because they play. That's the team with that Danny Demore. Yeah, Danny Demore, Matt Lepage,
Yeah.
uh, Osman. So you have a bunch of veteran guys. So they played two game. They played two teams that have the experience, and there are also good. There are also good teams. So I feel like if they're able to play with against. I think if they're able to play versus a team that's a bit lower as like talent wise and kind of get their mojo, kind of be able to complete easier passes and kind of get the streak going. Like sometimes in your schedule you play versus 2 3 good teams, and then you're not really up to part to kind of get everything going, and then
Mhm.
you end up getting to a bad slope. And then when you start playing versus teams that are not as good, that's when you start hitting a high peak. So I feel like they just kind of need to, like as you said, right now they're playing Quebec U16. So I mean that should be a game that should take advantage. Younger kids, good athletes, I'm sure. The fact that they're 2-1, but I think
Yeah.
it's something where they could start going on a win streak from here. Because it's surprising to see them 0-2. To be honest with you, if you're looking at their roster,
Exactly.
uh,
Exactly.
they have a roster where most of their guys have been playing flag for a while. A lot of their guys play tackle football. So to see them at 0-2, it's surprising. But then again, they did play versus two very good teams. So I think after this, I think they're just gonna, other than playing versus Blue Dry and mid-season, I think they're gonna finish like 7-3. They play Primal again, but I think they're gonna get Primal playing them the second time. I think they're gonna understand how constants are run, and I think they're gonna get that W in week 10.
Okay. Okay. So we'll obviously wait and see what happens with that. Uh, Looking at Gamblers Anonymous again, they're another team that's 0 for on the season. As I talked about, they're 0-3. So they've had two blowout losses. They got smoked actually. Well, last week against Quebec U18, U16, pardon me, A, and they got smoked in week 1 by Blue Dry, 38-12. They had a tight loss, I should say, to Primal, but so a little difference at quarterback. So they got my man Von Vansleet, I believe, he's the usual quarterback. But then they had a substitution. They had Adam Malinoff, so another FPF veteran. He was behind center, I was going to say under center. He was behind center, behind snapper, if you will, in a 44-37 loss. So a tough one there against Primal, but they at least showed that they can hang with those guys. I wonder now. So again, I talked about they're playing CTE next, right? They're playing them on Monday, February 17th. I wonder if they're gonna roll with Vaughn as a quarterback or Adam, because I think Vaughn is a good dude. He plays on the McGill swim team, I believe. So a lower division team that have a lot of fun. They have some talent, but Adam Malinoff is definitely an upgrade at quarterback. So I wonder if they're gonna roll with Malinoff because Malinoff, it's not as if he just played one game. He's played two actually for this team. Manoff. So he played quarterback. He plays a little bit. Yeah, he plays on defense as well. One INT on the season. So I wonder if they're gonna go with Adam because I think he'll give them the better chance to win. And again, try to stack up the wins because the year of the season, I should say, is getting late early. Is I like to say for the Gamblers Anonymous. So they're gonna have to decide who they want to roll with at quarterback.
I
Um,
think they're gonna go with Adam. I think that's a better choice.
I think they should.
But
I think they
you never
should.
know. Sometimes guys are not available. Sometimes guys can't make it. So just you go
Yeah.
next man up, right? Sometimes it works
Yeah.
like that.
But and again, 8 teams, all 8 make the playoffs. But again, it's all about seeding in that coming towards the postseason. There's no bye, so it's gonna be like a regular playoff matchup. You see, I feel like it's I feel like it's old school now when you talk about like 1 versus 8 and 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6. Not just in FPF, but I think in sports in general. Hockey is different. Obviously, and basketball is different now with the play-in tournament and that. I think it's like the goal of the old school 1 versus 8, 2, 7, 3, 6, 4, 5 matchup. I feel like that's kind of an ancient thing, but it's nice to see at least it's alive here in this co-ed part of in this 5v5 division.
hmm Are you a question for you? Are you surprised to see this early on, even though they did play versus each other, Quebec U16 at 2-1 right now?
I mean, looking at the right now, just trying to get them. Yeah, they're 2-1 right now. in the division. I'm part of me surprised because I mean, you look at it, right? I mean, ideally, it's the Quebec team, well, one of two Quebec teams that are under the age. I've seen them play for a couple minutes at the Stinger Dome, so I score keep there, but they were there on a Sunday. So yeah, it was sorry, no, I'm wrong. Pardon me. It was no, I'm sorry, I'm getting the teams wrong. My apologies. It's actually it's the other. It's Quebec UB 16. Sorry, it's a Quebec under 16 B team that I saw play. So I haven't seen the A team, and this we're talking about the A team here. I mean, listen, this is the next wave of talent that's going to be leading the province, right? And hopefully, again as we hit the Olympics in 2028, as Fly makes debut. I don't know if any of these guys will be on the team by then. You never know, but I mean, hopefully they'll be knocking on the door. So again, it's a lot of young talent on this team. There's only two players with FPF experience. That's Keenan Lehens and Vincent, however you want to pronounce it, Debray. Um, yeah, I can't see. I'm surprised because the record is 2-1 because they have let's say four different quarterbacks here, and so Charles
Yeah,
Lemaire, Clement Rouleau, Eddie Wright, and Vince Debray. None of the quarterbacks have had more than two TD passes in a game, so I'm surprised that they're doing what they're doing. They're using defense, right? So against X Men, well, they lost, but it was 20-13, and then they played the other Quebec U16 team. They won 13-12, and they beat Gamblers Anonymous 27-6. So defensively, they've been up to par in all three games. They haven't given up more than three touchdowns in a game. So I mean that's a positive start. And again, we talked about numerous times, right? No matter what division you're in, flag football in general, but especially FPF, it's an offensive league, right? So defense wins championships, as we said as well. And at least defensively, they showed up and done their part. And we saw last week against Gamblers Anonymous this past Sunday, they went 27-6. This is the first time their offense has scored more than two touchdowns in a game. So hopefully they're trending. They're already doing what they should be doing on defense, but offensively, at least they appear to be heading in the right direction. So let's see if they can keep that up. Again, their next game up is against Primal. That's going to be next Sunday at the Singer Dome. So hopefully they can bring some of that
yeah.
offense as well.
They have back-to-back games, so they play Primal and then
Yeah,
they play CTE.
CCE.
So
Yeah,
it's like
exactly,
yeah,
exactly,
so
exactly.
it's gonna show like if to be honest, I'll be surprised if they could get one win there. So if
Yep.
they could go 1-1, amazing. If they go 2-0, actually I would be very very surprised. But
Yeah.
again, it's gonna be a big test for them coming next week.
Yeah. I wish them the best of luck. We'll have to see what happens with that. Okay, so let's jump now to the final division here for 5v5. What's your opinion so far on what you're seeing in the top division here in 5v5?
So so 5v5, there's 8 teams. As we said before, everyone makes playoffs. So it's like the same thing, 1-8,
Yeah.
2-7, like that. We have two new teams kind of entering right now. Well, actually three, right? So you have Vengeance with Kevin Wyatt.
Yeah.
He's new to the 5v5. Then you have the Team Quebec U18, and then you have the Team Quebec U18B. So you have three teams that are entering because not the last season, the season before that, you still had you had party. Well, they're called party throwers now, but before they were party crashers. So I guess now they're
Yeah.
not throwing
Yeah.
any parties. Sorry, now I guess they're not crashing any parties now. They're throwing them.
Right. Right.
Then you have the Jamiesons with the Jeff, and then you have the Rose with Dan, and then you have the Braves, and you have Flagma. So you have all those the returning teams. So now we have three new teams in the in the in the competition, which is pretty cool. To see that there's 8 teams. Having 5 teams is not the funnest because you have to play a team twice. Now you just have to play 2 teams twice instead of having to play 4 teams twice. So it kind of changes up the game a bit.
Yeah.
It's also nice to for the team. I played the team Quebec U18 last Sunday, I believe. It was interesting. It was also nice to see some new blood in the flag league. That these guys are soon going to be they're gonna be like passing kind of the torch, and all these guys are gonna end up starting to play flag in FPF and stuff like that. So it's kind of nice to see some new blood. But right now the division it's nice. As we said before, you have Braves that are 2-1, which is
Hmm.
it's a surprise, like usually you see Braves being 3-0 or 4-0, but they're 2-1. Vengeance 2-1. You have Flag One at 2-1. You have the Rose at 2-2, Quebec 1-1, Party Throwers 1-2, Jameson's 1-2, and then you have Team Quebec at 0-1 that they just played one game. So right now it's, as we said, like going looking at the standings, it's very interesting. I believe Braves played Flag Moi on the Sunday as well. They were playing right
Yeah.
next to us, and Flag Moi got that win from them. So kudos to them. It makes it balances the division a bit, not seeing a team undefeated. So it's pretty much no teams are going undefeated for a competitive 5v5. So just there's just that to put out there. But it's a very interesting season as well. You have right now you have Kevin Wyatt, the goat, uh, in his 5v5 debut, playing in this the division. So it's good to see that he's 2-1 right now. So it's pretty nice to see. And yeah.
Yeah, looking at the those last week's games, so the Jamesons they got a big W last week. They knocked off. You talked about the party throws. They knocked them off 27-12 last Sunday at the Stinger Dome. You got Vengeance beating Roos. I think it's pronounced Roos 37 to 20 this past Monday. That was at Statty Bear. So for Roos, I mean, so they have a big loss to Vengeance, but then they knocked off getting a big W the day before, February 2nd. And knocked off, you had a Team Quebec U18 38-19. And you talked about, yeah, Flag Moissac beating the Braves at 37 to 21. So looking, so two big games coming up. So we're Friday, we're filming this. I believe it's going to be coming out tomorrow. If not latest Sunday, Team U18 taking on Flag Moissac. So two teams, Flag Moissac looking to make it, I believe, 2 wins in a row. No, actually, three. Yeah, Flag Moissac looking to make it 3 wins in a row because they had knocked off Vengeance 38-32 2 Sundays ago. So Flag Moissac looking to make it 3 wins in a row as they take on Team U18 and Brassard tomorrow. Also in Brassard, you have party throwers against Team U18B. So Team U18A in action, Team U18B in action, and then the Braves taking on Rose to end the week 6 action. That's gonna be Monday at Statty Bear. So only 3 games, but 3 big games in terms of the standings and competitive 5v5 for the men's. Any thoughts about the games? 2 games tomorrow and Monday with the Braves and Roos.
Um, yeah, yes, because yes. So with the Braves and the Roos, one thing it's gonna. Well, I think it's the last. I mean, we've already played them. Well, I played the Roos,
Yeah.
but we played them week 1 and we lost 27-0.
Yeah.
So for us, it's like a makeup game. But just for the seedings, right? One thing I have to realize, one thing you have to realize in this division, right? Everyone makes playoffs, but
Yep.
having the 1 seed or the 2 seed, it's pretty big because you technically, no offense to Team Quebec U18B, but if you're the first seed, I'm pretty sure you're either gonna play Team Quebec U18A or Team Quebec U18B.
Right.
So every game kind of matters if you want to have like not it's not a free win the first round, but it gives you a good chance of getting into the second round. Because if you end up falling in between like the 3rd seed or the 6th seed, you could play a Jameson's or you could play a Party Throwers. If you're, let's say you're Flag Moi and you finish in that 3rd seed, and you end up playing Party Throwers in the 6th seed, it's not an easy win. Even though right now the records are showing they're 1-2, 65 points for 65 points for and 94 against. Like I know they have a quarterback situation too there. Sometimes Fred Dupree is not the quarterback, so
Yeah.
that also comes to the fact. But it's not going to be the first. It's not going to be the prettiest thing to play versus a team like that the first round. So I feel like if you get, I feel like especially like coming up a lot of these games coming up now, you kind of want to win as much game as possible, so you are able to get that easier first second seed, so you're able to get an easier matchup going into the playoffs. Because as I said again, like being the 3rd seed or the like being the 3rd, 4th seed and playing versus the 5th seed. Like as for me, like if we finish playing as we're the 3rd seed and we end up finishing playing the if we end up playing Party Throwers, like I'm not as confident as I would want to be to play a team like that, other than playing versus like a team
Yeah.
Quebec U18 that you kind of have more experience and you're kind of more athletic than them, you know. So
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
so yeah, so just also just shows like the Jamiesons once 2 seasons ago they end up playing Braves in the semis, right? And the Jamesons, the record wasn't the best. I think they went 3-7 or 4-6, I believe. Not the best, you know. They played the Braves that was they were 8-2, I think, and they knocked them out, right? And then after they end up losing the finals versus Flagmois.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
just it just goes to show like standings actually means a lot, and every week does matter, especially when it comes to the 1 seed to the 8 seed.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, then and that's what the whole regular season is for, right? You want to get the chemistry, you want to get the momentum, but you also, most importantly, you want to kind of get your you want to get yourself ready and get that best playoff seed possible. Not to say you want to have the easiest road to make the playoffs, but it is what it is, right? You'd rather face Team Quebec U 18B, right, than facing a team like you talked about the party throwers. I mean, look at the roster, the party throwers, right? You have you talk about sometimes Fred Dupuis is not the quarterback, so they have Jordan, Lexi. They can even have Emerson Peters. Peter can throw as well, right? He's starting quarterback at Champlain. I mean, he's capable of throwing. Haven't seen him throw that much in FPF, which is a bit surprising. But I mean, maybe he just wants to come and play receiver. But that's a veteran squad with a lot of championship pedigree on it. Talking about the party throwers versus playing a team like Team Quebec U18B or Team Quebec U18A. So yeah, so I definitely agree with what you're saying right there. But again, this is why we play the regular season games, and there's a lot of football left ahead as teams kind of jockey for positioning in the playoffs. 'Cause like we said, for as well for this competitive division, right? There's no buys, so it's one versus eight, two versus seven, three versus six, and
Yeah,
four versus five. Okay, so
exactly.
yeah, so a lot of big games coming up for competitive again. So we talked about some of them, like I said, tomorrow. Team Quebec under 18A against Flag Sac, and Party Throwers Team Quebec under 18B. Both those games have started, and then Monday night it wraps up with the Braves versus Roos. So a game obviously that is important for you. Monday at Stady Bear. All right, so that wraps it up for. So we did co-ed two. We did co-ed one. We did co-ed two. We did all five v five. So everything is covered FPF wise. So obviously Sunday is the end of the NFL season. I know it breaks my heart. I'm sure it probably breaks yours and a lot of other people as well. But it's also a celebration. The Super Bowl is coming up. Eagles and Chiefs, so a rematch from 2 years ago. I'm a Niners fan, so I hate the Chiefs obviously, but I also hate the Eagles as well. Are you? Who's your team, by the way?
Houston.
Okay, Houston. Okay, okay.
Yeah, the
Lot to
Texans.
like. Lot to like. I mean, not as good this year as last year, but I mean, listen, you guys made the dance, and you have a couple pieces. CJ Stroud, I think, will be better in year three
Yeah.
than he was this
Well,
year, right?
yeah. Well, I'm happy with the conference that we're in. We pretty much we
Yeah,
should win the conference for the next
yeah. I would hope so.
season. It's
Okay,
it's good. It's good.
okay, okay. Who do you have for Sunday's game?
So I'm gonna go with the Chiefs,
Hmm.
and the only reason why I'm saying this, I'm not a Chiefs fan. I'm not an Eagles fan either, but I rather have the team that beat us win it all. You know, so we can be like, oh, we lost for the
Yep.
Chiefs, but they won the championship. You know, so like that's how I think. That's how I always think, you know. And I've always been
Right.
like that. Yeah, like oh, the team that beat us won the championship. You know, like it's different than saying the team that beat us lost the champ. No, they won the championship. Like no, like
Exactly.
there's a reason that we lost. You know, like they won the championship. They won the NFL, like the Super Bowl champs. You know, so
There you go. There
that,
you go.
that's me. How about you?
I hear
What's
you.
your
Listen, there's no shame in that game, my friend. I think the same thing too. Listen, we lost the Super Bowl last year. I'm like, oh, we lost the Super Bowl. A lot of Eagles fans and Cowboy fans, a lot of other fans talking trash. Oh, you guys lost the Super Bowl. And you know what? At least we got there. But hey, it's not the case this year. Injuries kind of killed my team and whatnot. I, I kind of equate Eagles fans, not all of them. I mean, listen, there's a lot of like we talked about Tammy before. I know he's a diehard Eagles fan. AJ, guys like Jordan Allard, my buddy Zach. There's a lot of like diehard Eagle fans, but I also noticed there's a lot of Eagle fans that have come along lately, right? Since a lot of bandwagon fans since 2017. Oh my God, I love the Eagles. I don't know. I don't remember hearing anything about
yeah?
you cheering for the Eagles before 2017, but it is what it is. I mean, that's the case for every team. There's a lot of Chiefs fans, right? A lot more now because of Taylor Swift. I hope I'm gonna put the over under at 9 times in terms of seeing her on camera. Hopefully it's the under. But I mean, I'm pretty sure
Well,
it'll be
every
more than
time
that.
Travis Kelce gets a catch, right? They kind of
Yeah, yeah, exactly,
swing over
exactly.
there. If it's a touchdown, they bring it there, bring it back, bring it there. You know, so
Yeah, yeah. It's
really
kind of
boosts
annoying,
fun.
but it is what it is. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs just because. Again, they broke my heart last year and a couple years before that, but it's kind of cool. I'm a little older, so I remember the Bulls are kind of the only team I've seen three-peat anything.
Okay.
So I want to be on the side of history. I want to see, what I was alive to see a little history. So I want to go with the Chiefs, and also I like to shut up all the Eagle fans because I'm gonna say Eagle fans now are worse than the Cowboy fans. Cowboy fans, like there's guys like like Ryan Perry, there's guys like Oweek or Craig O'Brien, good dudes. They can't really talk any trash because their team is hot garbage for the most part. But I find Eagle fans now they're unbearable. They're unbearable. So I'm hoping for the Chiefs to kind of break their heart. I wouldn't be mad for Saquon Barkley. I think the Giants are idiots, and the whole Giants being on Hard Knocks
Yeah.
kind of
So,
magnified that. I
yeah.
wouldn't be
We'll
mad if
see
they
about
went for him, but I mean, other than that, I don't care about the Eagles. I hope they lose and whatever. And another offseason of hitting with the Chiefs. Well, I guess it'll have to do until September rolls around. I don't know. Did you have a chance to catch any of the NFL wars last night? With like obviously Josh Allen
Yeah, I
winning
did. I
MVP.
watched. Yeah, I was surprised Josh Allen got the MVP and Lamar
Yeah,
Jackson didn't. I think that was pretty much the only one that I was surprised about. The rest were kind of like, I kind of everyone kind of figured it was coming. So
right,
I'm not
right.
sure about you.
I was surprised with the comeback player of the year award. I mean, I think this is the NFL has had 2 years now to give it to DeMar Hamlin. Obviously, the situation a couple years ago against the
Yeah,
Bengals. His heart pretty much stopped on the field. He almost died. Luckily, the first responders were on the field to kind of bring him back to life. And so not only did last year he came back, he didn't dress for all the games. He was kind of a special teams guy. But this year he started the majority of the games, right? And he was on the
mhm,
field. His team, yeah, his team came within one win of making the Super Bowl. So I think the NFL kind of failed by giving it to Joe Burrow, who came back from a wrist injury. I don't know about you, but I think a wrist injury coming versus someone who's coming back from a life or death thing, or even Sam Darnold, right, who came back from being a
yeah.
bust to doing his thing. I mean, a wrist injury that's not really inspiring too many people. It's comeback player of the
Yeah,
year, but it is
but
what it is.
I believe they changed the rules on how a player could get back the comeback year award. I forgot. I was reading something about it on some articles and also on the NFL Network, and they
Right,
kind of
right.
changed the rules. That's the reason why he didn't win it this year.
Yeah. Well, either way, I would have given it to Sam Darnold even over Joe
Yeah,
Burrow.
I would have gave it to Sam Darnold too.
Yeah.
That's I feel like he got slugged
Yeah,
there.
I think with the MVP, I know we got to wrap it up quickly. I think with the MVP, I mean, listen, they both deserved it. I'm not mad at Josh Allen for winning it. I think Lamar had a better season than he did last year when he won it, his second. I think it was just kind of Lamar Jackson fatigue. So they said, you know what, we'll toss Josh Allen a bone and whatever.
Mm,
We'll see. Anyways, so yeah, we're both picking the Chiefs here, I believe, right? We signed off on the Chiefs,
yes.
both of us.
Yes.
Okay, so when we come back next week, we'll see either how right or how wrong we were, and hopefully we're right because I don't want to hear Eagles fans for the next God knows how many months until September rolls around. So yeah. All right. So anyways, this has been the latest episode of the Flat Plus Football First and Goal podcast. He's Quaysie. I'm Brent. Thanks for tuning in. This is part two. So hopefully you enjoyed part one, and hopefully you'll enjoy part two just as much. We'll see you next time. Have a good one and enjoy the Super Bowl. Peace.